Uh, the recording is on. So,
I just got your message. Probably on your way with my luck.
Yeah. Like when I was saying, like, "Hey, are you on your way?" And then I was telling Edgar, like, I'm pretty sure as soon as they sent that, it was probably like she's probably already on her way.
oh.
Yeah, I was walking into his door. It was so funny because I like threw the door open and then I knocked.
The ding dong.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
She just kicked it down.
I was raised in a barn though, so that's why I have that excuse. A lot of people are like, "Whoa, you raised in a barn?" But I actually was. You insensitive bastard.
Literally raised in a barn.
So, hey, can the picture for this show be Robin in his band uniform?
Here. Hang on, no, I gotta.
Uh-oh.
Can we take a picture of that? And
That photo.
can that just be like it?
The thumbnail.
Yeah,
That's the thumbnail.
that's
Just
the thumbnail. Is that?
Today we talk about the Oscars.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be great. Like you have the Grand Slam logo on mini on the front, and then everyone's gonna be like, why is the thumbnail the logo but a picture of Robin in his marching band uniform? What's going on? Even on Spotify, it's like, what the hell's going on, until you see this part of the video and you're like, oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense now. Let's see. But which marching band picture are you talking about?
Did you not just see it?
I just showed it to you.
We just showed it to you. I put it on the camera.
Oh, you had it on the Discord. Oh, your Oh, yeah. There we go. I didn't notice your camera was on. I'm looking at my OBS stuff. Oh.
Look, wait, keep holding it there. Look, now he's being done up the butt.
Oh my
like
god.
with my finger. Do you see that? You say, no, Robin, you have to let me go up here.
Phone call.
Look at that. Look at that. Can we use that?
Probably not.
It's great.
God damn it.
I think that would be
I feel
funny.
like I'm making art. Yes.
All right.
Just send a picture of your marching band thing, and I'll put as thumbnail.
I'll send it later.
Nice. Let's start.
Okay.
Let's begin this show. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to another Grand Slam mini episode. But it's not our our usual mini show. It's more of a event that happened recently. But of course, I'm not going to do this episode alone. I have with me my good other co-host, Mr. Robin Machuca, and since Will is going back to the to that strike so that we could get that Werther's original sponsorship. We're still trying to. So everyone give a salute to Will. He's the backbone of that, so we could get that sponsorship with Werther's. So in the meantime, we do have a special guest. We've had her here before, especially on a lot of our other mini episodes here. It's the lovely Laurie.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. We're happy to have you here today, Laurie.
Thank you. I just wanted to come in with like a little bit more like grandiose than usual because of the topic for today, which is of course the Oscars. So
yes,
I just wanted to be more formal about my entrance.
That is correct. Today, as she did just say, we are talking about the this year's Oscar award show, the Oscars, the Academy Awards that happened today, and we're going to discuss what happens because today's this year's
today. They happened like happened a month ago.
that is true. They did,
but Edgar's been in a coma, and so he just got out of it today and finally watched the Oscars. So now we will review.
Yeah, you guys thought like Edgar was just talking within his coma when we were doing the live show on Friday.
It was an app. It was an app that we downloaded for people who are actually in comas. So that way they could read their subconscious thoughts. So we could still, they could still have functioning lives. Technology has gone so many places.
It was like, as you say, it was like the very first mind reading technology they used on me on that episode. I wasn't really there on that episode. It was just like my mental, my soul.
The program's designed to react the way it would think it would think Edgar would react if he were here, based on previous episodes he had recorded and opinions that it held. It put it into a database and was able to just kind of predict his opinions on everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was just, and while that was happening, I was just in a coma. It wasn't
just not. This bit has gone on too long. Like Edgar really believing that he was in a coma.
Oh, Robin, my life has gone on too long. I was supposed to be dead 2 years ago. I don't want to talk about it.
I was supposed to be dead 50 years ago, Robin, but I came back alive.
Hang on.
Nature finds a way.
Also, Robin, get a bit.
Speaking of Jurassic Park, the Oscars.
Oh my God!
I haven't eaten today. All I've had is energy drinks. Okay. It's a new diet, like a cleanse, or like an anti-cleanse.
Yeah, I was about to say it's more.
Now we're just putting garbage into my body, straight garbage. So the Oscars.
Yes. Also, Robin, if you don't mind, get the mic a bit closer to you, because you sound like if you're like.
It's not you, it's me. I'm loud, so I'm making you sound quieter.
Hang on, wait.
It's because Robin.
Let me try this. Is this good? It sounds good over here.
Because it sounded like you were like 5 feet away.
Try it from outside. Now I'm going to go lock him out.
Is this good? Is this good?
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so we're ready. We're ready.
Move the mic then. Hold on.
We ready.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
But yes, we're talking about this year's Oscars, and we took a while because we had stuff to do. We got to finish a lot of stuff. I had finals, and we wanted to think about this for a while, give our overall thoughts of what happened on this show. And I want to give it to you guys, to Laurie, since she's our guest today. What is your overall thoughts what did you overall think of this year's Academy Awards?
Well, I'm glad that I'm being asked now, a little time after the Academy Awards, so that way I can give a more subdued and more thoughtful reply to that. My opinion is the same, but my response to that is much more clarified. I did not like, it was not my favorite Oscars. It wasn't my least favorite. I mean, we had some doozies there in the 70s and the 80s. But yeah, it was not my favorite Oscars by far. I almost took offense to it in a way. Not offense, but I was just like, oh, I understand a lot of the controversy and behind the Oscars in the previous years. We haven't had a lot of diversity, which I think needed to happen. We have, lived in a very old Hollywood sort of way. It was the last one to kind of catch up. But at the same time, there's a respectedness about the Oscars. There is a pomp and circumstance about it. There's a legacy that it does uphold. And it, no matter how it's changed over the years, there's a respect and an honor that it comes with. And I feel like this year's Oscars was almost an anti-Oscars. I feel like if they wanted to change it up, they did. They took it, they shook it up, they flipped it upside down and put it on its head. And they really called it out for years past. Maybe it was something that needed to happen. You know, I understand over the years, you know, a lot of people, women, minorities, people with disabilities, all sorts of things, you know, with the Oscars, people have felt left out from it. So maybe it was something that needed to happen, but I never thought I had seen an Oscars where they were going through the audience with a DJ doing trivia about mistakes that happened in the past or what they believe to be mistakes, you know, songs not recognized. And it seemed like it was just taking one jab after another at the Oscars, you know, almost like an Oscars roast, you know, a roast of the Oscars. There were some highlights of the Oscars, of course. I did like a lot of the musical performances. I thought Her's performance was probably one of the highlights of the entire show. I really enjoyed it. But then there was just a lot that I didn't either. I thought it was very, like I said, I think to diminish what the Oscars were, I don't think it helped anything. I don't think it sat there and said, oh my goodness, yes, it took us a long time, you know, to get this diverse within the Oscars. So now we're going to really put it out there. Now we're going to really put it in your faces. Oh, the Oscar because of this and this and this. And I'm sorry, I just didn't agree with all those opinions. I think that the Oscars had Purple Rain. Absolutely, it missed the mark on that not winning Best Original Song. That one was a phenomenal song. But do I think The Butt should have won for Best Original Song, you know, the year that it came out? No. I don't, you know, but they were citing all these songs and just saying, oh, it's because, you know, it was by a Black artist and that's why they didn't win. No, some of them just weren't the best song of that year. And it didn't always have to be that, but they built it up. And not only, you know, did the Academy, I don't even specifically or especially know why the Academy decided to go down that route, even to the point of them. I was very against them putting Best Picture on, you know, 3 from the end. Best Picture is always the last award that's announced. I was very against that. I just felt that all pomp and circumstance, everything that Oscars was got thrown out the window. And I think that it diminished what getting an Oscar was. That's how strongly I feel about how I'm sorry. I didn't buy the whole Glenn Close thing, you know, doing the butt at the Oscars. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah. That's how I feel. But overall, go ahead, Edgar.
I was just gonna say, because I'm like, I feel like that's what everyone was feeling overall with this year's show. Like I feel like it was the most like kind of like mixed reviewed out of everything, because there were after the show, like after the Oscars aired, there were analytics that came out, and it showed the viewership of the Oscars through the years. And this year's they did record that this year's Oscars were the lowest viewed out of every Oscar.
It dropped from 20 million to 9 million people watching it.
I actually found because I actually have I just found the analytics while it was going on. So in 2018, 26.5 million viewers were watching it. In 2019, 29.6 million. And then in 2020 was 23.6 million. And then this year's Oscars it went from 23.6 million to this year being 9.8 million. So it dropped drastically. And one of the things that I saw people online like even respond to it, and I 100% agree. I felt like because the Oscars are always hosted on ABC, and ABC is owned by Disney. So my thought was, why didn't they live stream the Oscars on Disney Plus or HBO on Disney Plus or Hulu, since Disney also has rights to Hulu or own Hulu. So I felt like it could have been a smart way so you could have more viewerships, since a lot of people don't really watch on cable. They watch through streaming services. And it would have been smart if they had a live stream of it on Disney Plus or on Hulu. They wouldn't have this like lower viewerships.
There's also that like the viewership difference in like why are more and more people watching the Game Awards than they are watching the Oscars? Because like the numbers are completely opposite from each other. Where the number of people watching the Game Awards is rising, and in the Oscars it's going down. So, and I think it also has to do with just how the awards are shown too.
Mm-hmm. It's all like
I don't know how the Game Awards are able to do it and keep getting more and more viewers. And a lot of it has to do because it's always on YouTube.
Yeah.
When they live stream it, so everybody around the world can see it in an easier fashion.
And that's one of the big things that they've done, since you can stream it on somewhere that's free. Everyone goes there and watches it. And that's kind of and a lot of people nowadays, like a lot of us, I don't really watch cable television. I usually watch shows that are on like streaming services because that's where a lot of the good ones are on now. And even the ones that are on cable always go up on streaming services. So I felt like the Oscars lost a big opportunity to keep their viewership high or keep it like in a steady line. Oh, excuse me. If they were to put it on Disney Plus or Hulu, or heck, put it on YouTube instead of, you can't watch the Oscars because you don't have cable. Like, for an example, I live in the dorms during the Oscars. What's happening? I don't have cable in my dorms because I don't have the antenna and stuff to do it. And and the only one way I know how you could watch it is if you have YouTube TV, which you have to pay a monthly subscription for that. But it's a much higher one. And I'm like, why wouldn't they just put it on Hulu or Disney Plus? Especially since I think this year's Oscars, you could watch it right now on Hulu.
Yeah. Every year it's been like that. Actually, for the past like 5 years, you've been able to watch it on Hulu the next day.
Yeah.
Or at like 2 a.m.
Might as well just live. Yeah. At the end, it's like, might as well just live stream it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I feel like being like, hey, the Oscars are going to be on cable, but you could also watch it through a live stream on Disney Plus and Hulu, especially since we're in this pandemic. I felt like that was the biggest missed opportunity they have. They could have, that was like something, that was a path they could have gone to, but they were blind and they just passed it.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Like I was just kind of meh about this year's Oscars. Because like I've been meh about it every time I watch it, because at the end of the day, I'm just kind of like, this is just how I feel. It's like at the end of the day, I'm just there to see who wins too. But like, no, I can understand like that, especially because it's the Oscars, that it's starting to lose its credibility of being the Oscars in terms of like, what does it mean to receive one kind of thing. Of what Laurie was just saying is what I'm trying to get at. But
yeah.
But I think it just also has to do with like it just brings up also the question of like, at the same time, if the Oscars are doing that bad, how the hell is the Game Awards doing better? Like, what are they doing that the Oscars could do to get revitalize in some way to make
and I felt like that was always
not only viewership go up, but makes it more kind of relevant.
And I feel like that's what the Oscars were trying to do for a couple of years now, since they've noticed their viewerships has been slowly declining. They've always been trying to find a way to make it relevant to not only to the regular viewers that they get every year, but to the newer audience, to the younger audience. And a lot of the audience that are young attend the Game Awards because a lot of our youth, including me and Robin, we always play video games, not only just films, but we play a lot of video games, and that's kind of another genre that everyone likes to see a lot. Like, that's kind of reason like a lot of gaming expos, like E3, whenever companies live stream that and show new games, people show up to that. And it's kind of like how other people also show up to like a Disney expo when they show like Marvel stuff or like upcoming Disney movies like that. And it's something that I felt like the Oscars were like for a while have been trying to get their foot to see what clicks with their audience or not. And I felt like they really missed the mark this year with what they did this year, because it was really weird because I kind of get as we're gonna get to it soon. I feel how they organized which award they gave out first and what they ended with was very, very odd for me. I don't know about you guys. I felt it was very, very odd.
I feel like there was a point to it, and that's because of who was nominated for Best Actor. But I feel like that's the reason why they moved it around.
I feel like it was definitely a bit. I feel like if they would have just left it the way it was, then it wouldn't have been as much of a letdown or a disappointment as it ended up being. It wouldn't have been as controversial because everybody's like, "What? No, we were sure he was going to win. We were sure he was going to win." Well, nothing's ever sure. Nothing's ever sure, especially the Academy Awards. There's like these huge. You can go on YouTube and you look at the biggest Oscar. The biggest Oscar disappointments of all time. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, so many actors who were nominated so many times, they never won. Who was it? Was it Bob Hope, who always used to say, you know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, you know, when it came to the Oscar. And in the end, he ended up getting an honorary Oscar for being a host so many years in a row. Yeah. But he was nominated so many times. He never won. Things like that happen, which is why you have things set in place. So that way you don't end up like overshooting, like, okay, we're going to plan this because this is going to happen, you know? And I think that because they did it that way, it made it look like so much more of a disappointment. And it got so much more.
It didn't help that they made 3D head models of Chadwick Boseman's head to give
I feel like we should get into that.
And then also having his widow coming to the thing as well.
Yeah.
That was the one thing I was really mad to see that they did.
Like
where they did which the Oscars was like, it was like a gift thing or something, and it came with a gold head of Chadwick Boseman, and it was for some of the proceeds would go to charity, but it doesn't matter. I just hate how what they did to that. It reminded me of this because I told this to Robin. There's this game called Shadow of War, which is part of the Lord of the Rings lore, and one of the gaming directors, or it was a director or a person who worked on the game, he passed away. And so in their way of honoring him, they released like an orc, an orc or a troll character that's in design of him, and you would pay, I think it was like a $199, I think it was $199 or something higher. And you would pay to get that DLC. And they said that the proceeds would go to the charity that was funding that caused this game developer to pass away. So that's where it's go. But then you read the fine print, and it only said a small percentage of that goes to that charity, and there was a huge riot in that, and it caused a lot of backlash to that company and to the game developers, and basically to Warner Brothers because of that stuff. And that's what the Oscars did of making this gold head of Chadwick. It really reminded me so much of that, and to me that was the thing that really pissed me off. I really did not like what they did with that.
Like, after seeing The Father, like, I'm not upset that he won. I honestly think that's well deserved that he won, that Anthony Hopkins won. The thing that made me mad about it was what you were saying. It was like, it was the build up to it, and also moving stuff around to make it seem like, they're making it. It's going to be like, they're going to give it to Chadwick Boseman, but it's like, then it happens. It's like, okay, well, like I'm fine with it, but like, it's the fact that you made the statue heads, you brought her widow, you brought his widow to the awards. You had it set up to that being the last thing that we see as the award, just to get like, oh yeah, we're giving it to Anthony Hopkins, which again is well deserved. It was just really kind of, it felt kind of scummy how they did it.
Yeah, especially how thematic, like what the big like theme and what they were going for this year's Oscars, and how progressive it was aiming to.
And how privy it begs the question:
Mhm.
how much does the right hand know what the left hand is doing when it comes to this? Because I don't know how these things run. I don't know if the people who are producing it or the people who they got to put this whole thing together, did they know who was going to win? Because those ballots are kept very close and tight. Nobody knows who's going to win. And so I'm wondering, I'm just like, should some sort of because, communication doesn't go on. They're very secretive about the results of those ballots and about who the winners are. So in a case like this, is it okay for somebody to intervene and say, whoa, 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 what are you doing? Like, maybe we shouldn't do this because guess what? He's not gonna win. Yeah. But the thing about it is that's why you don't do stuff like that. I don't know who was in charge of the Oscars that catered it to what they wanted to happen. And then when it didn't happen, now it's this big controversy. I'm just like, no. It did seem like that. It seemed like the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing here, and it ended up causing a bigger mess. And of course, now it's a controversy. And I'm like, yes, but this controversy could have been avoided.
Yeah, because for me I don't think I wasn't mad when I saw when Anthony Hopkins won for Best Actor. I was just more confused of they were leading up to this whole thing because everything was so out of order. They already had like Best Picture already announced and won, and we're like, what? Really? They already did this, and then it led up to Best Actor, and so of course I kind of thought like I was like it could either go two ways, but it felt like they were aiming to go with like they were gonna give it to Chadwick, but then they just went with this twist. And if they were to show the Best Actor like how they usually do it, like before Best Picture, I felt like this wouldn't be as big of a controversy or like as an outrage as it was.
No, it wouldn't be a controversy at all. It would just be people being bummed of like, well, why didn't Chadwick Boseman win? And that would have been it. Because then like I remember I was like looking at comments about like on Facebook or whatever, like why did Chadwick Boseman win? And then everyone was saying was basically saying, have you seen The Father? And then I was like, okay, well, I gotta watch it.
Yeah, I personally, for me, I personally haven't seen The Father yet, since you have to pay $20 to rent it on there, so I'm just waiting for like the right time to watch it.
Pretty much buying a movie ticket now. So
yeah. But that's why I was like, when I saw that, I'm like, I wasn't really mad when Anthony Hopkins won. I'm like, because he probably deserved it. He probably did a good job, just like the people who were nominated for Best Actor. It was just that they ended it on that note, really left a huge kind of like it made a lot of people angry at the end of this whole Oscar, at this year's Oscars, actually.
Well,
so I guess we could go to like the award, like to certain awards that we want to talk about, that we felt like we should talk about. So I don't know if Laurie or Robin wants to start us off. Like which Oscar win did you guys want to go with?
Well, I can think like we could talk about like the big ones closer to the end.
Yeah,
I mostly, in terms of big ones, I mostly want to talk about Best Actress, and I think we kind of discussed Best Actor already. Best Director, Best Picture, and and I also want to talk about. I guess we can talk about supporting actor and actress as well. But I do want to talk about live action short film, though. That's what one of the ones I want to talk about. So the one that won was Two Distant Strangers by Trayvon Free and Martin Desmond Giroux, and it's on Netflix, and it's about, I think, like.
It's like 30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 30 minutes or like 45 minutes long. It's not that long of a show.
And I showed it to Edgar when he was hanging out here one time. And I don't know, what did you guys think of it before I go into my thing?
Go ahead, Edgar, you go.
Okay. I was gonna say, I kind of saw how it won, especially since what they were going for with the Oscars. Did I love it personally? No, not really. There was a message to it, and I saw what they were going with it, and I respected I respected so much with it, especially since what we were going through in 2020 and what we're still going through right now. I understand the message with it. I know some of the performances were a bit like very very cheesy, especially towards the end. And I felt like the film should have ended a bit earlier, because I felt like if they were to end it in a certain part, which I guess we go to spoilers, where he wakes up after he gets killed one last time by the cop again until they do the cycle again. I felt like they should have ended it there.
To clarify for the audience, what the short film is about this man who's basically living in a Groundhog Day type scenario where he keeps getting confronted by police and he keeps getting killed by them. And he keeps living it over and over again. And it's supposed to be a message about like how this shit keeps happening and we need to try to find a way to stop it.
Yeah. And like, and with the film, as you can see, they always have the names of a lot of the people who were killed by cops.
The ending of it was like I didn't like the ending where it just showed the names of like this person was going to do this and this person was going to do that. And that's essentially what, the basis of the episode is, that this guy was just trying to get home to his dog.
Yeah.
Ultimately what he was trying to get home to.
Yeah. I like the message that they were going for. I just felt like some scenes were pretty cheesy. The cop character was very cartoonish at times, and I felt like it should have ended a bit earlier. But I didn't think it was horrible. But I felt like it was. I felt like it was going to be the pick they were going to choose at the Oscars.
I agree that the cop was a bit cartoonish a little bit in some parts. I think it's mostly the part where the guy talks to him about like what's been happening.
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought the rest of it was fine for a short film.
Yeah.
For acting wise.
Yeah.
But
what did you think, Laurie?
What do you think?
Well, I thought it was an important film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought it was definitely hitting on something that needed to be hit on this year, of course, being police brutality, police corruption, police profiling. I do think there's a huge double standard out there. There's a lot of people, and you see it every day on social media. You see it on Facebook about people who just don't understand. They're like, no, to be Black Lives Matter is to be anti-cop. And I think there's something really lost in all of that. And I don't understand why holding people accountable, like a police officer, why holding people accountable when it got to be such a controversial thing. First of all, if this was a job that wasn't being a police officer, if it was a doctor and a doctor made a mistake, like he accidentally, put a baked potato where your heart was going to be, he would lose his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this were somebody working at McDonald's and he accidentally left a razor blade in your coffee, he would lose his job. Anything that puts life, people are human, people make mistakes, but you have to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
You have to be held accountable for those mistakes. And I just don't understand a society where we have put people in a position of law enforcement and where they're held on a higher plane. They're held on a plane of like, well, no, but they're a police officer, well, they have a tough job. All these things come along with it. So, give them a break. I'm sorry. I don't see any problem with holding a police officer accountable, just like any other person who we expect to do their job.
And I was going to say,
I see it so many times. Go ahead.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, cops aren't a race. It's your job. So it's every job, like a doctor, you should be held accountable for. The cop isn't a race. So when it's like the Blue Lives Matter, they're not a race. It's a job. You do your job. If you do it wrong, you're held accountable and you get fired.
I've seen this infuriating meme that goes around on social media right now that they're saying, oh, what happens, it's a picture of a tired police officer walking away, and his badge is on the ground next to him. And it says, what happens when the good ones walk away. And I'm like, then they weren't the good ones. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you can't handle the idea that, yeah, you're being watched and you're being held accountable for the first time probably ever. Yes, you're under a spotlight and you're being held accountable to do your job and to be a decent human being. And that's offensive. And that's what gets me. And so I'm like, well, so when I saw this short film, I get why it was made. It is not something, I feel like it's one of those things that you can't watch more than once. I definitely don't like, it's one of those things that I wouldn't sit there necessarily, unless I was showing somebody, I wouldn't necessarily sit there and watch it again because it does make you feel uncomfortable. That's
the point of it.
It does seem excessive. It is exhausting. That's the point.
It's like,
and I felt like, and I think that was I feel like that was definitely the message they were going for. It's like, yeah, it's hard to see what was going, what this guy was dealing with, and he's reliving this day over and over. It's like, yeah, it's supposed to make you feel like uncomfortable. You're supposed to realize this is how other people, like how a lot of people feel every day. They're afraid of just going outside and being accused for something they haven't done at all, and they're afraid to get killed because of a cop just coming at them, thinking they have a gun with them or drugs with them, even though they're just trying to go home to their family or get something at the grocery store.
I always think like, so like separating it from movie and its message, because like that me and Edgar, like we have things about as a movie, like there's some things that we have a problem with it. But like for the message, it's like, no, we 100% agree with it. What they're talking about, because it's almost like it's something, it's trying to tell us, hey, don't forget what still happens. Even though, yes, you're living it, you try not to forget it. It's the same message as like people are told about the Holocaust. Like the people who have survived it are slowly going away. It's like, it's because more and more people who are in the Holocaust are eventually passing away who have survived it. And it's up to us to remember that. And it's the same thing here. The only problem is that this has been going on for a longer time than that of the brief 6 years that happened to 6 million people during the Holocaust.
Yeah, and what you brought up a while ago, Robin, it's like, yeah, I could read for a film for the message it was going for. I think it did a good job, a fine job to say their message in the film.
Job to say the message, yes.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to find the right words. I'm like jibber jabbering all over, but as looking at it as a short film, it wasn't the best. But I haven't seen the other short films, so I can't say if it was better than this and that. But it had its issues overall. But I
always say whatever makes best whatever for an Academy Award. I always say, like, yes, it has to fit the requirements and stuff like that for it. But I think also an important thing is that it has to have a very important message to portray. That defines society of that year. But we'll get into that when we get to Best Picture. But,
like My Octopus Teacher.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was another one that I was like,
Can we segue into there?
We could segue to it, but
I've seen the Best Short Subject because that is, funny enough, about the Holocaust. So
I have a lot to say about My Octopus Teacher.
All right, let's talk about.
Wait. What's it called? Yeah, like My Octopus Teacher. Unless, what were you gonna say, Edgar?
Oh no, I was just gonna segue this to going to that to Best Documentary.
Yes, going to Best Documentary. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. That's how I felt overall with that with their pick. I was just like baffled and surprised.
I would say, like, I've only seen a bit of Crip Camp. I haven't watched it all the way through, but even then, I still voted for that one. And like, even from listening to,
that's going to be my opinion. Leave that to me.
Well, not that, but I was talking more about I want to bring up the other show that Laurie's a part of, in the cinema show, where Dylan said that he was really surprised that Crip Camp didn't win it. And I was like, no, I agree, because that it's a really, even though I didn't see all of it all the way through, from that small bit that I watched the beginning of it was like, no, this is a good one. Why didn't it win?
No, absolutely. Edgar, have you had the privilege of watching any of these?
The only one that caught my interest, but I haven't seen it yet, out of all these documentaries, is one of the documentaries is called The Collective, which the documentary is about. It takes place in Romania, and it's about like how like fucked up the healthcare system is over there, and it really goes in depth with a lot of it, and what I've heard is like it's really like it's kind of like when you watch it, it's just really fucked up and kind of scary to think about that this still is going on.
It was also nominated for Best International Feature Film.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's on and The Collective is on Hulu from what I saw.
Ooh, I need to check that one out. Okay, so I did see Crip Camp. Out of all of them, that's the one I saw first. And I really thought that was my pick to win. Just because I thought it had a really important message. I thought it was really neat that this was happening, that they had come up with a camp, for people that were disabled at the time. And anybody who hasn't checked it out, it's on Netflix and it's definitely worth checking out. Definitely saw why it was nominated. Definitely thought I was going to win. But let me move on to My Octopus Teacher, which did win. I was shocked because when the Academy Awards had aired, I hadn't seen this one yet. I had seen Crip Camp. And so I was like, I have to check it out. If it won, I'm sure it's fabulous. Okay. For all of you out there tuning into this portion of the Grand Slam, we're about to talk about My Octopus Teacher. Why don't you grab yourself a nice glass of Cavassier, lower the lights, and make yourself a little bit comfortable. Because it is erotic as fuck. I don't know what was going on with this man and this octopus, but I'm just like, it was very, very sensual. Okay, so there's this guy, right? This whole guy is based. It's about all these things. This guy's going through a midlife crisis. He doesn't want to be a father. What can he teach his 12-year-old son? He needs me. So I'm going to go and spend a year of my life going and swimming with this octopus for a year. And hopefully I can figure it out. See you later, kids. I'm checking out as a husband and father for a while because I need to go find myself with an octopus. I mean, can you imagine, the husband getting a ponytail, getting a Corvette and leaving you for a younger woman is one thing. But for an octopus, I guess now and an Oscar. But this poor lady, So anyway, he goes off and he finds this octopus. He decides to go snorkeling. He finds this octopus, becomes obsessed with it. Starts going through these whole things like, oh, it trusts me so much, and now it's putting its 200 suckers on my body. Oh. And then there was a scene where it goes to his chest and he arches his back ever so slightly. I'm like, no. I mean, the imagery, it's beautiful. But at the same time, then he gets really upset because he loves his octopus, right? I just kept expecting him to grab the octopus and just push it lower. But it would have been a great segue. Sounds like a premise for a. I'm gonna say it as clean as I can. It sounds like a live action Japanese adult film. It definitely is. Yes. I would go as far to say that, Edgar. And the other thing that I'm going to bring up, though, is then this one got me mad. It was like that porn that I watched where the guy kept telling her, bitch, make me some nachos. And then she'd start to, and then he'd start pounding her from behind. And then she'd drop the nachos and then he'd be like, hey, I told you to make me nachos. And then she'd be like, I'm sorry. And she'd try to start making them again. And then he'd start pounding her from behind and she'd drop the nachos. I'm like, let her make the nachos. This was kind of the same thing. He was getting so upset because the octopus kept getting attacked. And he was like, oh no, how have the predators found my octopus that I keep shining a light on and following around everywhere? I'm like, you're the reason that this octopus is getting attacked.
Oh God.
Because you are following around, you're shining a camera light on it.
Yeah.
He even went out there. Okay, he said he got to the point to where he just couldn't go out there in the day anymore because he knew. And this is look. Let me do it the way it sounded on the thing. I had to go out there. If the octopus was doing these things during the day, I knew it was nocturnal. So I had to go and see the octopus at night. So he goes out there with this camera and this huge light, and it gets attacked and gets a leg eaten. He's like, how did this happen? Because you're shining a light on this octopus at night, and it's usually protected under the cover of night. You're killing it. You're killing it.
Oh my God. Wow.
I don't think it was a deserved Oscar.
Oh, you don't say. Oh.
No, I'm sorry. I get it. I mean, maybe for the imagery. And then, yes, the point at the end, of course, spoiler alert, the octopus dies and it's his fault. But spoiler alert, the octopus dies, but it shows him how to live. And I'm like, dude, go home to your wife and your son.
There you have it, folks. Laurie's controversial thoughts on the octopus movie that won best documentary. To the 5 or 6 fans of that octopus documentary, please don't come and attack our good friend Laurie.
It had beautiful imagery, though.
Oh God!
Great shots. Great shots.
So,
Ooh.
I do want to briefly talk about best supporting actor.
Segueing to that.
It's mostly because, like, I've heard of this. There was like this news article about it where it was like how, like, with Daniel Kaluuya winning and not really knowing who was the main actor for that movie, it started to show like this is going to be a problem for future films down the way for supporting actor, because they're basically starting to turn it into a shoe-in for, oh, we want to give this guy an Oscar, but he's probably not going to win best actor. It's probably going to go somewhere. Let's put him in best supporting actor and say that he's a supporting actor, and then so he could easily just win it. And it's like.
Yeah, I remember when they announced the nominees for that, and I was like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Then who's like the main actor for that film for Judas and the Black Messiah?"
Like, it's well deserving that he won it. Do I think it was a supporting acting role? No, I don't think it was.
Same.
Yeah, I think that was a main actor role. I would agree with the guy who played William Bill O'Neill, but not so much with Fred Hampton.
Here's what this did, and here's why I don't like them doing things like that. I think that it's a cop-out. I think if you're carrying a film, if you're obviously the lead actor, you should be put in the lead actor category. Best supporting actor, yeah, you can say like, okay, now it's a shoe-in. No, the problem is that you had somebody with a significantly smaller part who is actually a supporting character. That what you've done is you've taken away the best supporting actor from somebody. Yeah. From somebody who, because that's the reason. If this is the way it's going to be, then just have one category, best actor, and then just let the sharks eat each other in the pit. There was a reason they have two. There's a reason why it's best actor and best supporting actor. If you start to ignore that, then you might as well just take away the category. Because I feel that Paul Raci for Sound of Metal was the clear front runner for best supporting actor this year. Gave a beautiful performance. And I think that had Daniel Kaluuya been put in the best actor category, I think that he would have won it this year.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like, it was kind of hard for me to pick because I haven't seen Sound of Metal yet, so I can't speak for that, and I want to watch it. I just haven't had the time to watch it. But like, I wasn't going to be upset if either Daniel Kaluuya won. He should have been in Best Actor. Mm-hmm. But I would have been just as happy if Sacha Baron Cohen won, if Odom Jr. won it, if Paul Raci won it. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard really good things. And same with Lakeith Stanfield, the guy who played William Bill O'Neill, who was the actual supporting acting role in that movie. Mm-hmm. And because like it was really hard for me to pick which one would win. I think I still chose Sacha Baron Cohen. Mm-hmm. That was just my pick because I thought he was really good as Abby Hoffman. I thought he portrayed him really fucking well. But I thought also Leslie Odom Jr. portrayed Sam Cooke really fucking well. And same thing with Daniel Kaluuya as Fred Hampton.
And for anybody who hasn't seen Sound of Metal, I can't wait for y'all, if you haven't seen it, to see it. It takes a completely different take. It kind of reminds me, I haven't felt this way about a film since Children of a Lesser God. Whenever Marlee Matlin won, she was the first deaf woman to ever win for Best Actress for her Oscar. And I remember at the time, because of course she was, at the time it was very controversial. The deaf community was just going through this whole education. You know, they were being sent now to special schools to learn how to sign, to learn how to get by in the world. But it greatly conflicted when these schools for the deaf and were coming up. And for the hearing impaired, Marlee Matlin played a character who was from an old school hearing impaired community who isolated themselves and really communicated with each other. They didn't sign because actually in the old, before a long time ago, it was considered you had to try to kind of fit in with everybody else, but kind of going to schools and that wasn't as supported. And she ends up, she's a janitor at the school for the hearing impaired, and she ends up falling in love with the professor there. But he's a teacher who teaches all these kids how to sign, how to communicate, how to speak. And he cannot get her to even try to speak. And it ends up becoming this big like controversy between, it becomes this big issue between the two of them. Well, anyway, this approaches it, the deaf community from a completely different perspective, where it combines the deaf community with the addict, with Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. And you never think, you're just like, wow, and a lot of these people, they're born deaf. Some of them have become deaf over the years. Some of them lost their hearing to different things. And you never realize, like, okay, how do they cope with that? Do they cope with that? They're just like everybody else. Some have coping mechanisms and some of them have unhealthy coping mechanisms. So what do you do when you're an addict or when you need help, but you're hearing impaired? And this kind of shows us that world.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to kind of see it. I haven't seen a film like that. And I think that that's a really special thing when you can sit back in a year of films of topics that you've seen tackled before, ideas regurgitated, things that were like, okay, well, this is a remake. We live in this land of remakes. To see something that's actually original, something that you haven't seen before, I think that's a gift. And so I think we got a really great gift this year with Sound of Metal.
I need to check that film
out. Well, we can go on to Best Actress, to who won. It was Frances McDormand for Nomadland, and I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. She was fine in it, but like she was barely in the fucking movie. Like a lot of the focus was on the people around her than it was on her. Like, and we finally got a change. Like, I remember when me and Edgar were watching it, it wasn't until like closer to the end of the movie where I was like, oh shit, we're finally going to get some shit about getting to know her a little bit more. Because we already knew a bit about like the beginning of it, of like what happened. It was like, oh, she lost her job and her family to all that. But that's really all that we're given. And then we don't get any more context about it until way later in the film. And it's like, at that point, you already lost me because there's no real central focus in it.
I need to look at who were the nominees for actress in a leading role, because
Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andrew Day for the United States versus Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman.
Okay.
And I voted for Viola Davis, and I thought like, no, that was like the better performance I felt out of everybody.
I honestly thought they were going to give it to Viola Davis and Frances McDormand. And when we saw the Oscars, I was like, okay, I'm going to give the benefit of doubt, and I'm going to watch Snowman to see if she deserved it. And this does transition to another award, but we'll get to that there when we get to there. But I will agree with Robin watching it. It took a while until like literally like through the half of the film, like the second or third half of the film, where we finally get like some character stuff about her, and we learn stuff about her. In the beginning, we see her doing her like what she does, but none of it really kind of captivated me or made me think like, wow, this is really powerful in performance. And in the other half, I was like, I think I'm like, she was doing a good job with this part. I'm like, it's not bad, but everything else, it didn't.
She's not bad at it. It's just is it Oscar worthy? And I was like, I don't think it is. And I later found out that like Nomadland is more of a character study film, but it's like, I don't know. There was just something about it that just didn't come off as like, no, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let the woman speak about best actor. No, I'm joking. All right. Now let this lady talk about the ladies. Okay, so she wasn't my pick. I love Frances McDormand. Loved her ever since Fargo. Even since Raising Arizona. Even since before then, she's always been one of my favorites. But she was not my pick for this. My pick was Viola Davis. I thought she killed it in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I thought she was the antithesis of that character. But you know what? What a great group of actresses also. Because I think that it was some pretty stout competition. But yes, I thought Viola Davis was going to take it. But I wasn't mad at Frances McDormand either. And I will tell you, I think I liked Nomadland because I think I had a little bit more of a connection with it just because I identified more with it. Because I always think about, just running off and I just want to leave. And I'm getting closer and getting up there in age a little bit more. No, I'm joking. I'm very young. But no, I mean, I kind of, it spoke to me. It resonated a little bit with me. And I love her subtle nuances. I really do. I think she's just a phenomenal actor. I think, I don't think it wasn't, I thought she deserved it. I really did. I also thought Viola Davis deserved it, and I wouldn't have been mad either way. So I think I was a little bit bigger of a fan of the movie than some other people were. But yeah, either way, I wouldn't have minded it.
Yeah, well, that's our thing. That's our show. And no, I'm kidding. But yeah, I guess we did talk about Best Actor. I think we mostly just talked about the controversy around it, but I do want to say really quick that Anthony Hopkins was fucking amazing in that movie. Mm-hmm. It changed my mind with Chadwick Boseman, but not too much because I was still very in between which one I would pick. But yeah. So here, moving on to what I do agree with Nomadland is Best Director. I will admit the direction in the movie was really good, so that it did deserve Best Director. The fact that she was able to get a lot of the side characters to be a lot more interesting than the main actress, it just makes it seem like, oh shit, the direction is actually really fucking good in this movie. She was actually able to make them feel more real. And I think that's also with the writing too, but in a way. But no, I thought it was good for directing. I wasn't mad about it after we watched it. I was like, no, I do like that it was, I am fine with it being picked for Best Director. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I definitely agree with that. I hadn't picked it, but then that's the thing. It was such a hard year for Best Director. I really loved, I really loved Nomadland. But you know what? Have y'all seen Another Round?
Not yet. I need to.
It's awesome.
I know it's on Hulu.
It is so good. And I did pick it for Best Foreign Film, which it won.
Yeah, it won.
So I'm glad I did. But that was one of those up there that I was just like, man, I wonder if it's going to take it. And I loved Mank. So I think my pick was actually Mank.
Yeah, I picked Mank.
That's what I went for. Mank as well.
As far as Best Actor, loved Anthony Hopkins. But what a great category, too. I think that every single actor nominated for Best Actor this year, it was just amazing. I thought they all gave amazing performances. But I will tell you, my pick was Chadwick Boseman. But the reason I never said Chadwick Boseman without saying Well, yeah, I think Chad Boseman will win, because he passed. So I think that I never just said Chad Boseman was my favorite performer out of the year and he's going to win. I never said that. I always said, I think he'll win because, it was a good performance. It was a great performance. And because he passed. Was he my pick though? Without that? Absolutely not. Because I did have problems with his performance. I wasn't 100% a fan of it. My problem with his performance is that I felt like he peaked too early on. I felt like he exploded way too much. Mind you, that was an actor and a director's choice. So who knows what direction they're giving him? I knew what he was going through. I mean, this was his last film. He was fighting through a lot. So would I have been mad if he had won it? Absolutely not. I picked him to win it. But Anthony Hopkins was phenomenal. He really was. If I had to sit down and say, okay, which one of these performances was my favorite of the year, it would have been him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you for those two, Edgar?
For actors?
Well, for best director and actor.
Oh, for director? Well, with No Man Land, I saw how she won, and I'm like, okay, like it's interesting. I liked how she was able to make the side characters who were actors and made them work in there. But I kind of was hoping to go with.
There were some familiar faces, like the guy, the one guy that she visits in California.
Yeah, I was hoping Mank would have kind of won it, since that was the movie that I saw at the time, and I've heard a lot of good things with Another Round, so I kind of was also kind of rooting for that, since I've heard about the premise of the film, and I really, really want to see it, especially since I found out it's on Hulu, so I probably will give that a watch soon. But yeah, I wasn't with directing. I wasn't that mad with it. I'm not, because at the end of the day, I'm not really mad at all these.
I will say
mostly, but
the only time when they did announce it, I was like, the only thing that was peeving me a bit is like, if she won Best Director, that means it's probably gonna go. That's what it's gonna go to for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking too.
So
I did find out that she is gonna be the director for Eternals, for Marvel's Eternals, which one comes out in November. So we'll see what she does with that film.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And apparently they're also working on a sequel for Eternals, even though the first one didn't come out yet.
That I haven't heard. I haven't seen any news on that, so I don't know.
Well, anyway, so the big one, Best Picture, and what one was Nomadland.
Oh wait, yeah. You said it.
I can go later. I already gave my thing briefly.
Another great year, I have to say. I'm looking at every single name in this category, and I ain't mad at any of them. What a phenomenal year for film, especially in a year where it was so hard to get something made and finished. Of course, a bunch of these projects started well before the pandemic hit. But bravo to these films. I completely agreed. Nomadland should have gotten Best Director. I thought it was a beautiful film, but I thought some of these other films were... I'm sorry. I thought that The Father was like nothing else we'd ever seen.
And that's whenever I brought up, like, there needs to be, what needs to add to it, or what should win Best Picture is, like, of something that was impactful to us this past year. And in some way, The Father kind of is impactful to a lot of people's lives, because a lot of people have family members that are suffering with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Also,
and senility in general. Yeah.
I know this is a bit off topic that I just found out, but it kind of relates to it. But I just found out NBC will not air the Golden Globes in 2022.
Oh shit.
Wow.
They just pulled the plug on the Golden Globes. And it says here, we continue to believe that the HFPA is committed to meaningful reform. However, change of this magnitude takes time and work. And we feel strongly that the HFPA needs time to do it right.
I remember that there was some shit that
that's some big news right now. NBC really pulled the plug on the Golden Globes.
Wow.
Because wasn't there somebody that brought?
Wow, when did that come out?
that just came out right now, a couple of minutes ago, 43 minutes ago.
Wow.
I think it's because like I think it was like last week there was something coming up with like the Golden Globes about they were getting sued for something by somebody. I think it was that. I don't remember. There was something else that came up about the Globes, but I guess this is the aftermath of whatever that was. But Jesus, okay.
Yeah, one of the other ones that says no Golden Globes 2022. NBC pulls the plug on besieged award show as nonprofit behind the Shining. I can't even read it right. Shining loses
Shindig.
support. Shindig. Shindig. Okay. Profit behind the Shindig loses support of Hollywood heavyweights like Netflix, Prime Video, and Warner Media over limp reform efforts.
That Shindig part is staying in.
Yeah, I know that. It's gonna stay in for sure, 100%. I know what to cut, Robin.
I want to say though, going back to Best Picture, I honestly thought it was going to go to Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, or Trial of the Chicago 7, because in those three, and that's bringing back what was really thought provoking this past year. Mm-hmm. I feel it was those three. Like mostly because it has to do with what the type of shit that we were dealing with in 2020 and how it was a repeat of 1968. And I'm still going by that. It feels like the only thing that's new is that there's a pandemic that's happening in 1968. And it's just funny that, like, you know, those two movies, Judas and the Black Messiah and Trial of the Chicago 7, were both set in 1968. And then, but like Nomadland, I'm just like, it's an okay film. I wouldn't watch it again, but I don't think it was a Best Picture film. Like, I'm still kind of by that a little bit because it does not. And I get it. Like, you know, with some people, like what Laurie said, it really.
I connected to it.
You connected to it as well. But like for an overall connectivity throughout the United States or just in the world, I really feel that Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, and Trial of the Chicago 7 are really connected with everything because, like, it's about, you know, humanity for these two things. For this one thing, for Judas and the Black Messiah, for Trial of Chicago 7 is about just showing how fucked up our legal system is, mm-hmm. And then with Mank, it's talking about how fucked up our political system is, and that's about, you know, and it's funny that that Mankiewicz had those same thoughts as a lot of people now have nowadays politically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I my pick was Trial of the Chicago 7, but I loved Promising Young Woman, although there were flaws in it. Still loved it. Sound of Metal was phenomenal. Honestly, I think it was a tough year. But yeah, I was kind of a little bit surprised that Nomadland took the whole thing, but I also thought it was, I feel like it was nuanced. I feel like it's a sleeper. I feel like it's going to creep up on you. It's one of those movies that you watch and then you can watch again later on at a different time in your life and it'll have a whole different meaning. And maybe that was it. I really don't know exactly why it went in the direction that it did. Mind you, I mean, they all get votes. So you have to, the politics behind the Oscars, which is something I've been obsessed with the Oscars since I was very young. When I was in 8th grade, I started recording them every year because that was back when they would just come on once. We didn't have any streaming services. So I recorded it on my VCR and then I would have friends come over like the next weekend, the weekend after that, like, oh, you didn't see the Oscars? Well, don't worry, I have it. So I was like one of those who I would show my friends the Oscars. I would have Oscar parties every year. They campaign when they get a nomination, they campaign for the nominations. And then once you get nominated, you campaign for that win because people in the Academy get the vote. And I'm telling you, it's all politics when it comes down to the Academy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Edgar, what do you think for Best Picture?
I get how some people really like Nomadland, and there's nothing wrong with someone liking the film. It's like everyone has their own taste and their own likes with films and their own interpretations with it, and they have different feelings when they go watch it. I personally didn't see really the hype for it. Watching it through, I for me, it felt like it was promising at the beginning, but then it started declining all like as it kept going for me. Like I really started losing interest halfway through the film, and that's when the lead was really starting to show some character. But I personally had a lot of issues with the film, me personally, that what really gave me that thought. I'm like, I don't think this should have won Best Picture.
Yeah.
One of my main complaints, which I was kind of glad it wasn't nominated for it, was for the best score. I really didn't think. I felt like the film could have executed better without a soundtrack, because the soundtrack, the score itself just was really. It was the same kind of tune they were just playing through the whole thing, but it wasn't nothing special. It felt really like it for me. It felt this music felt forced for the film, and it really was. It took me out of the film whenever it would show up, especially when especially there was a scene that I know Robin was saying that it fit that scene, but I felt like they played that song so many times that it didn't have that same impact if it was the only song that played in that section. But other things in it was just some of the performances for me weren't that memorable or that fun. The characters weren't really that interesting to me personally, but I understand how this is a lot of people go into this film feeling different with it. I just didn't see any excitement or any hype for this film, but I wanted to give it a chance. So then after I saw it, I really didn't see anything special with the film for me personally.
See, that's the way I felt about my octopus teacher. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who are attracted to octopi, but I'm like, I don't know. I just don't dig it. I mean, I tried. I mean, I had a few drinks, but no, nothing.
But my the picks that I was going for, I was either I was choosing Mank or Judas and the Black Messiah, and
I chose Mank, and I would have chosen The Father if I had watched The Father before the Oscars, because I watched it after, and I think honestly for Best Picture I probably would have changed it to The Father.
Yeah.
I would have been stuck between that and Mank.
So good.
But yeah, that's those are not all of the awards, but we talked about big ones.
Are we canceled yet?
I don't think we won't get canceled. Probably we'll have someone get mad about Laurie's take on the octopus movie because him and two other people were fans of the film, but of the documentary.
All right. I'll have sex with an octopus.
Oh boy.
Well, I'll try anything once.
God damn it.
But each tentacle counts as once, so we could do it up to 8 times.
God damn it.
Why?
I guess that's everything we felt like we wanted to cover for the show. Again, I do want to thank Laurie for being our lovely guest again on this show.
Thank you. No, it was lovely. I love talking about the Oscars award season. Everybody's like, "What's your favorite season?" I'm like, "Awards."
And to all the people who are watching this, where can they find you, Laurie?
Oh my goodness. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, Laurie_Guajardo. But yeah, I'm always posting things. I'm always working. I'm always doing something. If it has to do with theater and film, I'm there, baby.
Yeah. So yeah, go check her out. Just, go follow her on her Twitters. Well, she's a lovely person. We're always happy to have Laurie on our show today. And of course, I always got to say this, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel for future updates on stuff that we do here. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a follow on the Spotify. And, we have other stuff too, other social medias you can follow on the description below. Same thing where you'll find Laurie's Twitter there. And with that out of the way, guys, thank you all for watching. We love you all, and we'll see you in the next mini episode whenever we have it. So, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye 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 bye.